Hello, dear children. Hope you all are safe and fine and eager to study today's lesson. Children, home is the most beautiful place of the world. It is a symbol of love, care, and warmth. Everyone is emotionally attached to their home, no matter what type or size it is of. One may roam around the entire world, but home is the sweetest place in the world for every person. That is why it is rightly said, home the sweet home. One may spend days at a place, but the peace and comfort that one gets in his or her home is unmatchable. Children, some people can afford a big house, while some may be living in a very small one. But you will agree with me that for every person, his own house is nothing less than a castle. This fact not only holds true for humans, but also for other living beings. Even a small bird cannot enjoy and relax in a golden cage, as it will in its nest on a tree. Similarly, a farmer cannot relax on velvet beds as much as he can on the rough, bumpy lands of his fields. Childhood memories, mother's affection, and the protection offered by the father, all such feelings are often linked with the house. No matter how successful we become, we cannot separate ourselves from the roots of our home, its divine atmosphere, and the affection of all our family members. Often, people are not able to differentiate between house and home. A house is built by using bricks, marble, cement, etc., whereas home is that place which is bonded by the love of a family and all its members. Actually, it is the people living in a house who shape it into a home. Children, in our today's lesson, titled Changing Times, we will discuss about the houses and also that how with time the structure and the designing of the houses has changed. In this lesson, Chetan Das has talked about the fond memories of his childhood, and these memories relate to the time when our country got independence from the British rule. Children, do you know that when our country got freedom from the British rule, it was divided into two independent nation states, India and the other was Pakistan. Due to this partition, many people were forced to leave the houses at their native places and establish themselves in an altogether a new way at new places. This story of Chetan Das revolves around the time when Indians finally became successful in freeing their country from the British rule. That is, it began during the year 1947. The story describes how Chetan Das changed his houses with changing times. After independence, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister of Free India. But one thing that was haunting every Indian was that before leaving India, the Britishers became successful in dividing our country into two parts, India and Pakistan. At that time, due to partition, a chaotic situation prevailed among the Indian population. Many people got separated from their families. Children, do you know this partition not only divided the land but also the emotions of mankind? When two different nations for Hindus and Muslims were formed, it is estimated that more than 1 crore people became refugees because at that time many Muslims were forced to leave India and move to Pakistan, and likewise lakhs of Hindus were forced to leave Pakistan and migrate to India. Chetan Das was also among those migrants. Chetan Das, who had spent years in teaching young children, today has crossed the age of 60. Sharing his childhood memories, he talks about Dera Ghazi Khan, the place where his family lived when he was just 9 years old. Today, this place is in Pakistan. During the time of partition, when people were forced to leave their houses and shift to new places, it was during this period when one day Chetan Das' father told his family that they will also have to leave their village and move to another place. But the very thought of leaving his village saddened Chetan Das a lot, perhaps due to the fact that he was emotionally attached to his house and village, where he had spent his entire childhood. He did not want to leave his friends in the village and was also worried about the adjustment with the new place and with the new friends. Yes, it was due to this reason only why Chetan Das was so hesitant to leave his village and childhood friends in Ghazipur. His mother and father, 3 younger brothers and sisters, and many more people from his village boarded a train and moved to Delhi. Children, all of you are well aware of Delhi, the capital of India. On reaching India, Chetan Das and his family had no house of their own to live in. So, for some time, they all stayed in a camp. Children, do you know about camps? Camp means big tents that are put up in a huge ground. And at that time, those people were staying in the camps who had lost their properties due to partition. After some days, Chetan Das' father told them that they had been given some land in Sohna village where they can build their own house. Children, do you know that these days Sohna village is in Haryana? This news came as a great relief for the entire family, and they were all very happy, as living in the camps was nothing less than a nightmare for all of them, and the fond memories of their old house often used to trouble them. How strongly they all desired to have their own house. After all, there is no place more comfortable and refreshing than your own house. Time came when Baba and Amma and all their children together built their own house on that land. Everyone worked hard. Baba dug the soil, children passed them to Amma, and Amma mixed husk in it. Baba put up the walls. Then cow dung was brought from the nearby houses and mixed with the mud to coat the floor and walls with this mixture. Exactly in the same way, Amma used to coat the walls and floor of their old house in Gazipur. Children, do you have any idea that why people in olden days used to coat the walls and floor of their houses with a mixture of mud and cow dung? This is because this would keep the insects and especially the mosquitoes away from the houses. Then it was the turn for the roof to be made. Baba made a frame for this by joining strips of wood and fixed it on the four walls. Then this frame was covered by the branches of neem and kikar trees so that termites do not harm the wood. Children, here I would like to give a very important information to you all that termites are a type of insects that eat away the wooden structures and damage them, due to which wooden roofs and walls are always in the danger of sudden breaking. Do you know, children, the practice of putting branches of neem and kikar trees on the wooden roofs was very popular in olden days to provide strength to the wooden roofs by protecting them from termites. Now, most of the houses around their house were built in a much similar manner. But Chetan Das was very happy and liked his house the best. It was just like their old house. A changing house with changing time. Time passed quickly. Chetan Das finished his studies and got a job. Before his marriage, Chetan Das' family thought why not to get their house repaired to bring some changes in the house according to the new time and build one more room with changing time. Even the material used to build this room had changed a lot. Earlier, the walls were made of mud, roofs of wood. Now, the roof of the new room was made of iron rods and cement. Walls were made with unbaked bricks, which need not to be coated every week. Once a year, they could be whitewashed. Dear children, one very important thing to note here is that this lesson not only discusses about the changes brought in the ways of building a house, but also highlights the progress that has occurred in our country during all this time. Like the mud has been replaced by the cement, people started preferring roofs made of iron instead of wooden roofs as they had greater strength, and most of the houses were now pakka houses. Now, in addition to the new room, a small kitchen was also built in the courtyard. After Chetan Das' marriage, the entire family often used to sit on mats in the kitchen and eat together the food, which Suman, Chetan Das' wife, used to prepare very lovingly for the entire family. As people had mud chullas in those days, there was a trend to sit on the floor in the kitchen to cook. But with changing times, people started using gas chullas in their kitchens. So, arrangements for standing kitchens are made these days. Another very important change which was seen was that people used to go out to the fields for their toilet in those days. But with the passing time, Chetan Das made a small toilet with unbaked bricks behind his house. Children, do you know that in those days, people from Basti used to come to clean the toilets and take away the waste. People who used the toilets did not clean them as we clean our toilets ourselves these days. But the sad part is that these people who used to clean the toilets were looked down upon in the society and were termed as untouchables. Time passed. Chetan Das' 2 sons and a daughter were born in that house. The children completed their studies and got settled. Daughter Simmi got married in Palwal. When his son Raju was to get married, the entire family thought that they should get their house ready for the new bride. The roof, walls, floor, every corner of the house was changed according to the new time. Chetan Das was a very wise man and knew that building a house is now not an easy task, and this time cannot be completed by the family members alone, as they had done while building their first house. So, he called some experts for this. He called a contractor who would arrange all the material required for building a house. Then, an architect was consulted for designing the house. Many masons and bricklayers were hired for building the house. When the time came to make arrangements for water pipelines in the toilet, a plumber was called. The kitchen was also made bigger, and a carpenter was called to make the wooden drawers in the kitchen. The electrician then fitted bulbs, lights, and fans in the entire house. And in the last, painter was called to paint the walls and roof of the house. Children, let me tell you now that how, with the availability of many new things in the market, more and more changes started emerging. Chetan Das' younger son Montu moved to Delhi when he got a job there. Chetan Das and his wife Suman used to stay with Montu for some months in a year and with Raju in Sohna for the rest of the time. At the age of 70, they were fully enjoying their life. Chetan Das often used to travel from Sohna to Delhi. On his way, when he used to cross Gurugram, then high-rise buildings of Gurugram used to force him to think that how a great change has emerged in the building of houses. People have now started living in flats. A great change has come in the society too. Earlier, people used to purchase things as per their needs, but today, pomp and show has become the need of the hour. Even his own son, Raju, has spent lakhs of rupees in renovating the toilet and the bathroom. He used colored tiles in his bathroom. All this once again forced him to think that is it worth spending so much of money for a place to have a bath? Chetan Das realized that people have started thinking differently, and he started wondering about the next generation, that is, his grandchildren. What kind of houses they would prefer to live in? Towards the end of the story, he remembers his old days when he, along with his Amma and Baba, made their first house purely of mud. Then the new room added to their house was made of cement and unbaked bricks. After that, a time came when things like marble, baked bricks, cement, iron, etc. were used for building the houses. But now, you cannot even imagine about the new things available in the market that are used to build a house. So dear children, today we have studied in this lesson about the changing times, that how time has changed not only the ways and means of building houses, but has also changed the thinking of people, their needs, and the entire setup of the society. Children, now I will ask you some questions. Hope you will be able to answer them all correctly. So, your first question is, listen carefully. Talk to any one of your grandparents or any other elderly person of their age and find out that in what kind of houses they lived when they were 8-9 years old. So children, all of you just talk to your grandparents and write the answer as they tell you. But as far as I feel, most of the people of their age at that time lived in kacha houses made of mud. Your next question. What did Chetan Das do when his father and mother were making their first house in Sohna? You have to pick the correct answer from the given 4 options, and your options are: A. He gave the earth dug by Baba to Amma. B. He encouraged them. C. He brought tea and snacks for them. And D. He looked after his baby sister. And the correct answer is option A. That is, he gave the earth dug by Baba to Amma. In the next question, you are given some statements and you have to tell whether the given statement is true or false. The first statement: when Chetan Das moved to Delhi from Pakistan, then he lived with his entire family in the tents in a camp. Yes, children, this statement is true. The next statement: Chetan Das' wife used to cook food for the entire family on gas chullas while standing in the kitchen. Children, this statement is false because Suman used to sit on the floor of the kitchen to cook the food. The next question is, fill in the blanks. The first one: termites do not damage wood if branches of dash are put on it. And the answer is neem and kikar. Termites do not damage wood if branches of neem and kikar are put on it. The next one: the floor of the family's first house was coated with a mixture of dash to keep the insects away? And the answer is cow dung and mud. And the next one, dash is used to cut pipes. And the answer is pipe cutter. Pipe cutter is used to cut pipes. The next question, why Chetan Das family had to move from their village over 60 years ago? So children, the correct answer for this is because at that time our country was being divided into two, India and Pakistan. Due to this partition, many people were shifting from India to Pakistan and also from Pakistan to India. That is why Chetan Das family also had to move. The next question. In the olden days, when people had no toilets in their houses, where did they go for it in the beginning? Yes, children, the correct answer for this is that in those days, people used to go to the fields for toilet. And your last question is match the following. In this question, you are given two columns, column A and column B. In column A, work done by some skilled persons are listed. And in column B, list of persons who carry out these works is given. And you have to match them correctly. Now listen carefully, children. In column A, we have mixing cement and mud, pipeline fittings in the toilet, wiring and electrical fitting in the building, cuts the wood to make furniture. And in column B, we have electrician, mason, carpenter and plumber. Children, if you have worked out your answers, then let us quickly match them correctly. A person who mixes cement and mud is called a, yes children, the correct answer is he is called a mason. A person who fits pipes in the toilet is called a plumber. A person who carries out wiring and electrical fittings is called a electrician. And the last one, a person who cuts the wood is called a, yes, you are right, he is called a carpenter. So with this, children, we come to the end of our today's lesson. Hope you all enjoyed learning the lesson with me. Goodbye and thank you.